First, I want to thank the good work that this wonderful foundation does. We frequently forget about the power of the individual. Though we have relegated so much of the achievements of any movement to single individuals, it's always the collective. It is the we in the future that is going to make a difference. When I was first speaking at Earth Day in 1990, it was in Dallas, Texas, and I had an epiphany. I had written some things I thought they would find of interest, but there were thousands and thousands of people in Dallas. And there was good music, and I'm walking around, and I'm talking with people. And one of the guys said, "What are you going to talk about?" I'm going to say about how we should challenge globalization. And he said, I'm for it. Let's get that message out." And then I stopped, and I said, "You're eating McDonald's, you're drinking Coca-Cola, you're smoking Lucky Strikes, you've got Calvin Klein jeans, Tommy Hilfiger shirt, someone else's hat, someone else's sunglasses, and Nike sneakers. What part of globalization are you against?" And as I walked through the group, it was just one big litter. I've never seen that much litter, environmental refuge, at any place, let alone Earth Day. So it taught me something. Now, I believe that one individual makes a difference. In fact, every important act in history, every act started with one person, not a group, not a committee. One human being who had the courage to say, "Let me challenge something." I believe that we have to have a new direction. I believe if we do not have dynamic new energies involved in this effort, working together, coming from their own unique individuality, but sharing that with others cooperatively, that we will not be where we need to be. Here is the problem. First, I'll show you the bad news, and please understand, I'm going to show you the good news. Because the bad news, in my opinion, is really bad. And I believe until we can look honestly in the mirror of who we've become as a movement, the environmental movement, and why we're allowing the Democrats and Republicans to hold the arguments. And we shouldn't, because both the Democrats and the Republicans, as entire parties, have become corporatized. And we all know that. Not every person. There are a few Republicans and a few Democrats who still hold individual idealistic principles. But by and large, they have controlled, well, global warming doesn't exist. Hello? Global warming? That's one issue. I'm doing a documentary as we speak on the 12 tipping points. I produce films. Drugging of our children, fatal fallout, autism made in USA. I've done over 100 films. This has taken me a long time because I'm having to show the problem and the solution. Right now, 3 of the 12 tipping points are going to tip no matter what anyone does. When we keep hearing about the hottest record, the coldest record, the record flooding, no one starts asking, how many records do we have in a year? And why doesn't anyone connect these? In which states can't you even sustain a future because it doesn't have enough water? And do we think about buying Fiji water, how far it took for that water to get here, as if we're being conscientious about the selection we make? We're not. And partly it's because we no longer have a viable environmental movement. Now, I say that not to challenge those who are doing good work. I say because we have allowed the environmental movement to become branded, no different than any other brand. It has been compromised, co-opted, and completely assaulted, but done so in such a stealth manner that I cannot trust any environmental group any longer to tell me the unbiased truth. Let me give you one example. By the way, this is the book in 1990. Clearer, Cleaner, Safer, Greener, Blueprint for New Environment. Here were the hot issues that I thought we would really be able to focus on and do something about. Global warming, back then. Genetic engineering of food. The Terminator seeds. Pesticides explosion. The Dirty Dozen. The war on our air. The philosophy of food. Fake and denatured and adulterated foods. The politics of food. The American Council on Science and Health, which is pro-industry. The irradiation of foods, nuclear waste, our nuclear mythology, which I would later do about low-level radiation. Oh, there's no harm in low-level radiation. I've done 3 award-winning documentaries on the Gulf War veterans coming back. 400,000 are sick with Gulf War syndrome. None of that is post-traumatic stress disorder. That's a separate disorder. Almost 30,000 have been reported dying because of this, and yet Not one article anywhere in the American media about 400,000 dying what? Depleted uranium. Now, if it's hurting the GIs because it's in the shells and the casings, what about every time one of those bombs exploded in Iraq? Now, in my film, and it took me 4 months to smuggle my film out of Iraq because of the censorship. NBC, CBS, Fox News, oh, Fox News, what pro-war. No, they don't have anything. Someone like myself, no, you couldn't get my film footage out. We had to sneak it out through Norway. But in my footage, I show you a field the size of a football field with dead babies. I show you why, not from bullets, but from depleted uranium. Cyclops baby, one eye in the middle of the head. Children born with no brains. One kid, 3 heads. Now, what would the American public do if they saw a 3-headed baby due to depleted uranium and the doctor in the hospital saying we're getting 3 dead kids a day in this hospital? We never got 3 dead kids a year from these diseases before this invasion using this. Not one word. That's the power. We're the environmental groups of talking about we've created an entire dead zone, 3 billion years, the half-life of that depleted uranium, to get out of there. It's in the soil, it's in the sand, it's in the water, and it's hurting people. Women are all over Iraq are told don't have babies because you're going to end up with the defects, and every family knows about defects. But do we concern ourselves? No. Where's our churches? Where's our church leaders? Where's the environmental groups? I don't ask anyone in Congress. I wouldn't trust them to touch this issue because they wouldn't. They'll deny it. So that's why I'm concerned. Who's on the side of the Gulf War veterans? How about no one? They're not getting treatment. They're denied that their cancers, their rare conditions are due to the war. Why? Because someone would have to pay for it and someone would have to acknowledge it. The anthrax vaccines, the botulism vaccines that were experimental with adjuvants, that's all environmental. We're doing nothing about it. That's just one example. Now, all the issues I talked about then are exactly where we are today. So I decided, how aware are we of our environmental impact outside of global warming? Yes, no. It exists, it doesn't exist. Glenn Beck, it's the communist, the Marxist, and the socialist. Gee, Glenn, you're against socialism? Yeah, and so is Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, and of course, Ann Coulter. She thinks all of us who are actually progressive are godless. Remember her best-selling book, Godless Liberals? Gee, Ann, read Christ. He was a progressive. How do you wrap your mind around the fact that Jesus was godless? Only a Republican do that. I'll tell you that. Man, what hypocrisy. So then I say, if you're against global warming and what it means, you're tying global warming into socialism, communism, anti-business. What if the police come to your house because there's a robbery? You're going to say, hold on, do I have insurance? Your neighbor's house is burning. Do you call and stop and say, hold on, you can't put out that fire unless they have insurance? Well, our public schools, our fire department, our police department, our emergency room hospital, that is public assistance. And yet they'll deny the benefit of that. So who comes into the scene? These people and their sponsor comes in. An article last week, an article in The Nation magazine. I'm going to read you just one quote. This is why you got to pay attention to the environmental movement. And I knew the environmental movement was going to hell when on Fridays in the Washington Clinton administration, I'd see environmental leaders playing football with the vice president. Okay? I wish he was here. I'd have a debate with him. You want to really do something about global warming? Why don't you become a vegan? If you became a vegan, you would do more to reduce global warming than all the cars, planes, trains, buses, and ships. Just shifting, as I am, to a vegan diet. Buy locally. This morning I was down at the farmer's market buying my produce. Local, organic, sustainable farming. Is that a sin? Is that something we can't agree upon? Is that reasonable, unreasonable? To buy locally grown food? To say no to Whole Foods, health food store that buys this genetically engineered material out of China and calls it organic? On the front, organic. Look on the back. Look on the back. Product of China. Nice when you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Now you can say green. No, you want to go green, go local, 100% organic. Enough supply, you bet.